Welcome to the Travis Masterbone podcast. I am your host, Travis Masterbone, talking some shit to impact your life. This is episode 22, titled Life and Death. No quotes and kind of a curveball. I was going to talk about artificial intelligence, but I just don't really feel like talking about that shit. And I just recently went through a pseudo-tragic experience in my life. It's been a while since I've been in a car accident, but this one in particular has been very, very impacting on my life. And so, of course, it has led me to speaking to you, the very select few. It was very interesting, just everything leading up to the event and everything that has occurred after the event. And I don't know how many of you listening right now have been in a car accident, but it is quite startling. It can be shocking, and, it could end quite tragically, whether it's injury or even death. So it always, the last time I was in a car accident, it really made me think about my life and death and, same song, same dance right now. And so I guess I could just go into what exactly happened. I'm in my buddy's truck and we're about to exit, and we had a specific exit that we were supposed to turn off of. And, why this person decided to cross 3 to 4 lanes to just get off this exit and be somewhere, I'll get into the details of that and the reason why I'm doing this episode. But overall, there was someone on the side of the road. We clipped them and spun out, did a full 180 back onto the freeway, facing oncoming traffic. And I don't know if you've ever had your life flash before your eyes, but for me, that really did occur. But in a weird way, my fight or flight, it didn't seem like it was as stimulated as it should be. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, or maybe the impact wasn't as shocking as it probably could have been. Obviously, a situation like that could always be worse, but it was just very interesting. Once the impact occurred, spun out on the freeway, and we kind of casually just looked at each other like, hey, you good? I'm good. Are you good? I'm good. Let's go make sure we didn't kill somebody. It was an immediate, knee-jerk reaction after we confirmed that we're all right, to go make sure that this other person that we clipped on the side of the road was okay. And we hopped out. We slowed the freeway down, to say the least, and went to this man. And luckily, this man was okay. But overall, the entire sequence of events, it just made me ponder the amount of things that had to have occurred to get us where we were is just astonishing. And I think of this all the time, just the probability of me even existing, let alone each and every sequence of events that led me up to that point, to where one of those drivers could have been right behind us and not paying attention, and could have easily just head-on collisioned us on the freeway going 65, 70, 75 miles per hour. So I'm grateful, to say the least. It was a very interesting high that me and my buddy experienced for the rest of the day. And so what was interesting was the timing. I moved it up 30 minutes earlier than our set time for where he was supposed to pick me up, and we were supposed to be somewhere, a very unique place where we were supposed to be. It was a studio to actually just hang out and witness what, a famous rapper does when he is in the studio in a very random area, Mesa, Arizona. So he arrived early to pick me up. The actual meeting itself has also been a very random sequence of events. And then just the fact that this guy that I was driving with just swerved over to get off the exit. We've all been there, where we cross multiple lanes to try and get off an exit. I think he wasn't really in his right mind state, because I was playing him some of my music that was a bit more touching and deep, and I think it really got to him. and he wasn't just in his right mind state. So the fact that he picked me up early, that could affect on the timing on someone being pulled over off on the side of the road. But then also the fact that I played him my music, which I also randomly just made on a whim and put it together and decided to record it. Probably some of my deepest and saddest songs. Like, I've cried significantly on what I made. And this guy felt the same impacts. And it just kind of, all came together when he was like, oh shit, I got to get off this exit. Didn't see the guy on the side of the road, clipped him. And if he didn't jerk that wheel just ever so slightly, I don't know if I would be here right now, to be honest. That last second knee-jerk reaction on his end, even though he fucked up, to this second right now, I'm not entirely sure if I would be here. And that really put things into perspective on a lot of levels, and hence why I'm even ranting about this right now. This is probably my most off-the-cuff stream of consciousness episode that I've done since talking about free will. But there was a moment right before we were about to hit this motherfucker. I was like, all right, determinism. There's really nothing I can do in that moment. The control was gone. And I think I accepted that. And that's probably why we didn't have the mechanism of fight or flight really tap in so heavily. I can't explain on his end, but for the most part, for me, I kind of saw it coming and I didn't really say much. It just occurred. But I'll tell you this much, as I said a moment ago, it was a high after that. Went to the studio, got to witness what a real rapper does inside the studio, which I love. That's what I love to do and see. I love music. My buddy also loves music. He's into, he was in a rock band and made rock music. And so we connect on that level, which is also crazy, which all leads us to going to the studio and getting this close to dying. But for the most part, I always think about this, even aside from the accident, like the amount of things that have to occur from what people say, what people do, sequence of events. It's so articulate and random at the same time. And I just really lack the ability or capacity to comprehend it and put it all together. But nonetheless, it is fascinating. Probably why I really record these episodes, because I've always just been so astonished with life and questioning it. Some more than others, I'm sure. I probably could go a lot deeper down the rabbit hole on these specific topics. Like every time that I make an episode, once I'm done writing my cliff notes, I always think to myself, like, damn, how much deeper can I get with this? How much deeper can we go? And it once again brings me back to the determinism and free will. But I'll never really know, I guess. But for the most part, as of right now, I'm going to go with the illusion of free will and say I decided to make this episode. And that high that me and him felt, like it was just such a great day after the fact. We got out alive. It was a rewarding feeling. And it's funny that we resort to going, oh, let's have a drink. Let's go drink some alcohol, some poison, right? But nonetheless, so fun, good times. And, it's a cheers to, okay, like, I am so glad that I'm here. I am so grateful that I'm here. In that moment, I could easily have also lost a leg or been paralyzed. And it also made me think, like, who do I tell about this? Who would give a fuck if I died? And why would that even matter from my perspective? There's only a select few that I told about it. And I just kind of decided, fuck it, like I'm going to do this episode just ranting about life and death. But it really made me feel this gratitude of life. And I really am. I say it all the time. Like I do my cold showers and my mantras. I speak out loud. And one of the main things that I always repeat is that I'm so grateful for my mental and physical health. I really am. Like I don't know where I'm going in this life. I'm 34, about to turn 35. Only the good Lord and the universe knows where I'm going to end up in the next 5, 10, 15, 30 years, or whether I'm just going to stroke out right now, So since I have the ability to think and the ability to put together these episodes, it really does lead me to believe that, okay, I'm meant to do this. It's hard for me to believe that the things that had to have occurred, occurred. Coincidence is such a tough thing for me to wrap my brain around. The word itself, the definition of it, it makes no sense. Random itself, the definition of random. It's hard for me to really grip and just, okay, things just happen because they happen. Again, the probability of me just being alive, I was the one sperm cell that wiggled through and decided to unfold in this consciousness where I get to play this movie. I refuse to believe that it's just a coincidence, that there's something deeper behind it. And may my death occur immediately after I immediately after I press this record button and stop the recording. I could die immediately. But one thing's for certain, I am beyond grateful that, I'm not in a wheelchair. I was at a Suns game, and I remember I was feeling a little down for whatever reason. It could be relationship issues. It could be just me overthinking about where I should be in my life. And then, I kid you not, as I'm sipping some wine and being a little bitch, in a sense, this guy just rolls over in his wheelchair, has no access to his legs. And I just kind of feel like I was like, okay, that was just too much of a coincidence, where I was really deep in a thought about my life. And I look at this guy who just rolls by, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not where this guy is. I wonder what he's going through. And I always think about Stephen Hawking too. Stephen Hawking. If I were to get Lou Gehrig's disease, my goodness, I don't even understand how that is even fathomable to go through. And, again, this is just random ass thoughts, but for the most part, it just really brought me down to earth that I got away from this car accident. And I'm just grateful for it, whether everything is predetermined or not. Again, I don't really care too much about it. I don't want to overthink the sequence of events, but damn, I always do think of it. And so last night, again, I was out and about. A lot of things were occurring. Certain people just decided to come into my life and talk to me, just very interesting people. And then I just grabbed my balls and decided, okay, maybe I should reach out to this person and see what they really think about me. Am I wasting my time with this person? Efficiency is such a interesting word. You just want to be more efficient with whatever lifeline do you have right now. And that becomes so apparent after you almost die. So I guess in simplistic terms, a life or death experience really does change your perception on everything. And for me, I don't know. Every time I eat mushrooms, there's always some type of feeling like you're going to die, or am I ever going to come back to reality? And you have this little mental war with yourself. But the last time I was actually in a life or death situation, I mean, shit, it's been probably 10 years since I was in a really bad car accident. And I remember that moment to an extent. It was pretty fucking fight or flight exhilarating. And I was very fortunate and lucky that I didn't kill anybody, and that I walked away from the entire scene with no issues and walked away alive. But after that moment, a lot of gratitude. And so it was just interesting to kind of re-experience that. But it wasn't my choice. It was definitely out of my control. There's no way I controlled any of that. And I just succumbed to the fact that we were going to clip this guy. I saw it coming, and I was like, well, here we go. Fuck it. But for the most part, I could easily call this episode just gratitude. That's kind of where I am with it. And whether or not people are actually interested in listening to all this bullshit, I really don't give a fuck. This is my podcast. But overall, it makes me want to be a bit more diligent about my life in regards to what I can control. And it's probably why I try so hard. You know, I think about my dad all the time, and he passed away. I always try to do the math, maybe 12, 13, coming up on 13 years now. But I always wonder if he gave it all that he had to give in regards to becoming the best person possible. Optimization, also a weird word. But, you know, why do we feel so obligated to be optimized as humans? And for me, I think optimization can be broken down into just, you know, being grateful that things cannot be astronomically worse and just doing whatever floats your boat in the moment. And if you have this ability to be nice and be courteous to people and try and just make the best of yourself, whatever capacity that may be, whatever sector, industry, whether it's your job, you're an entrepreneur, whether it's just your health and your relationships with your family or whoever you're dating, you know, you just give it your best. And in the back of our mind, we always have this hope that everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And it's true, though. It's true. And that to me is faith. That to me could easily be from our ancestors to, you know, people today, you know, just that feeling and thought, that hope and faith that everything's going to be all right. I could almost classify that as God, you know, and I don't know where we go after we die. I'll let you know when it happens. But for the most part, there's just something funny about the timeline of human existence. And I just happen to pop up and play this game, whether people are avatars or they're actually other humans that are objectively seeing things the way I see them. You know, I don't know if I'll ever really truly know the answer to that. And it's not a big deal. Regardless if one is right or the other, I'm going to still do my best to be, you know, the kindest and most sincere person I can be towards others. And I'm going to do my best to just try and optimize myself to the best of my ability, whether it's in, you know, spiritual, financial, physical, mental sectors of life within my own perception. I'm going to do my best. And just like this episode. But overall, I'm not entirely sure what the main thesis here is. But, you know, I think about life a lot. I think about death a lot. And, you know, I'm doing something pretty cool today. And I'm realizing that a lot of people can't do what I'm about to do today. And I'm also realizing a lot of people would love to do what I'm doing today. And whether or not they have the capacity to do it or not, shit, maybe it's not even up to them. But I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to do it. And just like releasing this episode, shit, this too. Not entirely sure if all this made sense, but I definitely cannot believe that I ranted for almost 20 minutes. Again, this is probably my most random stream of consciousness. No notes, just kind of wanted to spit some fire on this microphone, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And may the good Lord be with you. I don't want anyone getting into a car accident unless they absolutely get out of it uninjured and, you know, alive. And then maybe you feel that same high that me and my buddy felt. And, you know, we connected on a whole nother level going through that experience. And it's a beautiful thing. And who knows what that's going to transition into. You know, the sequence of events that occurred before the accident also cascades into something after the event. And it could be such a beautiful thing. But at the same time, I can have a stroke right after I click this button. But that's all. Moving forward, please like, share, subscribe, all that shit. And thank you to listening to the Travis Masterbone podcast. And I look forward to you tuning in next time. Farewell.